If you're traveling to China for the very first time, you absolutely need to prepare for it. This is unlike any other trip. You can't just book a flight and wing it somehow. So why listen to me? My name is Max, by the way. I've been living in China for more than a year before COVID. I've been on more than a dozen trips afterwards to China. And yeah, I'm a foreigner myself, so I am well aware about the challenges and how to navigate everything. Yeah, let's start off with some apps you need to download. First one being WeChat. That's the main communication hub. Essentially, people in China use it for everything from personal matters to business contacts. So you definitely want to set up a WeChat account yourself. Usually you can do this pretty easily. Sometimes you need a passport to verify. That's why you want to do this before, because all the passport verifications probably take like 24 hours or so. So definitely do this before your trip. Furthermore, WeChat is one of the super apps in China. So essentially there's a bunch of mini apps you can access by having WeChat on your phone and just scanning a QR code and then getting it to a mini app. We will get to this later on as well. App number two being WeChat Pay. That's not even a separate app, but definitely really, really important to set up as well. So how it works usually in China is you go to a restaurant, there's a QR code on the table, you scan the QR code using WeChat, you get to like a different mini application with the menu, you just go through it, order your food, and then you end up paying instantly with WeChat Pay. So you can link WeChat Pay to your foreign credit cards, Visa, MasterCard is definitely fine, probably also American Express. I think they're pretty well integrated nowadays. Also, again, you might need like a passport verification here to sign up. And it's also more easy to sign up to these services when being abroad versus being in China. Some of my friends who signed up to WeChat and WeChat Pay in China got their accounts locked immediately. And then you have to find some Chinese people to verify that you are not a bot account. So I recommend you to just set this up before your trip, before you go to China, so you have enough time as well to let the verification play out. Number three, Alipay, different payment provider here. Alipay also offers some more functionalities. Again, it's a super app with more integrations, but just best to be signed up to the two biggest payment systems. So you're definitely able to pay for everything essentially. Alipay often comes with integrations to the local transport networks. So you can generate QR codes in Alipay and then just pay for transport on the go. Super easy, super convenient. The process here is the same. Just download Alipay, link your foreign credit cards, and obviously upload your passport for verification. Again, it just took me like 24 hours or so to get verified. The number four and last app to set up is Didi. Didi is a taxi app. It's pretty much the Chinese Uber. But in contrast to other Chinese taxi apps, it actually has an English integration. So you can search for your hotel name in English and pretty much the whole UI is in English, as well as the chat with the driver, which is automatically translated between Chinese and English. So it's much, much more convenient for you to communicate, obviously. And again, you can link your foreign credit card to it. Also, it works with a Western phone number. That's a big issue where we'll probably later on as well go into more detail about the phone number issue in China. Okay, let's go into a more practical section here. If you land in China, how do you even get to a hotel? That's actually more challenging than you thought, because obviously you can't just use Google Maps, that's blocked in China. Apple Maps, on the other hand, you can access it, but they usually don't have the best information. It's not up to date, and often location data, for some reason, is off by a few kilometers. Even when you book your hotel on booking.com, you might think you have the map there and you get the location, but even that location often is not accurate as well. So lots of troubles here. Solution definitely is to use Didi, because as the taxi app, they've got all the location in there. Unlike other countries in China, pretty much every location ever is tracked, every single restaurant you can just navigate to, as well as any major hotel you booked. So just use Didi. Obviously, make sure to select the right branch of the hotel you booked, because often each hotel chain would have many branches in the same city, because Chinese cities tend to be very large. Yeah, and here's some taxi driver reality check. You're a foreigner, and in China, all taxi drivers definitely are out to scam you. They will often try to overcharge you 2 to 5 times if you just go with a regular taxi instead of a Didi. So definitely use a Didi. As well, one more note, many of the highways in China are toll roads, so they require additional payment, but usually that's handled within Didi itself. The driver will try to get you to give him some more money or give him a tip or something. That's all not standard in China. Like obviously you're fine to give him a tip, but it's definitely not required by you, and you don't have to give him any additional money to pay for the toll road or something. That's all handled within Didi and will just be added to your total charge at the end, which you can just conveniently pay with your credit card. An alternative way to get to your hotel, obviously, is the subway system. The subway system is insane in China. It's pretty much Singapore-style quality. The trains run every 2 to 3 minutes. In pretty much all cities, the signs and announcements are also in English, and it's really, really easy to navigate. The value is incredible. Usually the charge will be between 2 and 7 RMB. That's pretty much $0.3 to $1, even for rides more than an hour long. So really, really easy to do. And yeah, how to use the subway system. Usually you can just generate a transport QR code within Alipay and just scan it when you enter the station and scan it when you exit the station, and it will automatically be charged via Alipay from your credit card. Let's talk about accessing the internet and VPNs and all concerning that. Pretty much talking about the Great Firewall of China. So actually everything is blocked in China. Pretty much all services in connection to Google, to Facebook, to Meta, pretty much all Western sites, even Wikipedia is blocked, pretty much everything. So you definitely need a VPN if you're a foreigner in China to just use about everything on your phone. And here's the issue: NordVPN, ExpressVPN, CyberGhost VPN, and pretty much all other VPNs you're aware of are blocked themselves in China. So you definitely need another way to get around the Great Firewall. The best solution here are eSIMs, and that's pretty much where I come into my pitch. I actually put you some links into the description. You can just check them out. I also put them here on the screen probably. I secured a bunch of discount codes, so just free to use them when you travel to China. Will save you some money and also give me a small commission. The eSIM providers I already reviewed within China, iRalo, Mobimeta, Maya Mobile, and Saily. All of them were great in China because they all come with built-in VPNs. Additionally, you might be able to just use your normal carrier. Some of them also offer packages for China. Obviously, make sure to check the FAQ pages if they also got a built-in VPN here. But all of the four I mentioned, they definitely have them, and it's pretty affordable. Probably you will end up paying like $1 or $2 per gigabyte. So essentially, you will end up paying like $10, $20 for your trip, and you should be good. These are very easy to set up, but again, set these up before your trip. Yes, so how does setting up an eSIM work? Just head down below to the description, click on the link and get to one of the websites. Then essentially just select for packages. You want to take the China package with at least like 5 to 10 gigabyte. I think that's a decent amount. If you plan on doing more severe work, using your phone as a hotspot, which might be a good idea because then all your traffic actually has a built-in VPN essentially. Probably you should select like 10 to 20 gigabytes per week of staying in China. I think that's a decent amount. Just go ahead, pay for that. It's a prepaid payment, one-time payment. It's impossible to incur any roaming charges, anything. Then you get presented with a QR code. Now you can take your phone and in the settings menu, you can add an eSIM by scanning the QR code on the screen. It will usually take like a minute to a few minutes to activate the eSIM. Obviously, again, you should do this while you're still being abroad. If you try to activate the eSIMs when you're already in China, there might be some issues, so better do this before your trip. But if you can see that the eSIM is activated, it's connected to the network, but obviously it doesn't have internet if you're still abroad, then you should be all fine. Just make sure to enable the data roaming. So when you travel to China, it should automatically activate. Usually it will be a tiny bit slower than local Chinese connections, but still pretty fast. Sometimes it also takes a little bit longer when you pull up payment QR codes for like WeChat Pay, Alipay. I think that's because of the built-in VPN thing. This might delay a few things, but everything worked out for me with all of these services. So just go ahead and use them. I put you again the discount codes and links in the description. Feel free to pay me back for the video here by using some of them. So even though you set up a bunch of things, there will be some services and some apps you just can't use while being in China, and that's because you don't have a Chinese phone number. Essentially, many services will require Chinese domestic phone numbers to be used, and probably you don't have them as a tourist. Sure, you could get a local SIM card, but it doesn't come with a VPN, so that's pretty much useless. You can essentially just use it for these services if you're really keen on it, but essentially you can't use some other taxi apps, you can't use food delivery platforms, you can't use bike sharing like bike rental stations, you can't use some vending machines. They've got some special ones where you just unlock it, it will open the door and you can pick everything, anything you want, close the door and it will just charge you on based on everything you took out. You can't use these with foreign phone numbers. But there's a hack if you're very keen. On Mobimeta, there are different providers listed, and one of the providers is called 3HK. So it's a Hong Kong-based provider, and actually Hong Kong phone numbers also count as domestic phone numbers in China. I think it has political reasons. So if you're really keen on using like more service in China, I would recommend you to just go on Mobimeta, browse for the 3HK logo, and just buy one of their deals because it will come with a +852 local Hong Kong phone number, which you can then use for many of the other apps, like the ones I just mentioned, the bike rental ones, or other taxi apps like Gaode. That might be a good idea. When it comes to picking a hotel in China, there's just one tip of me: just go with a 5-star hotel. First of all, they're very affordable in China, probably just running you 50 to 100 USD a night. So very affordable luxury by still having pretty good quality. Also, they do have English-speaking staff, might be very helpful because in China, essentially no one is speaking any word of English. So it might be quite helpful to at least have English-speaking staff in the hotel. And last point, probably most important, they are used to dealing with foreigners because in China, it's a pretty strict country when it comes to visa requirements. We will talk about this right after this. And many of the hotels, they need to do some specific registration of all foreigners staying in their hotel. And small hotels who rarely deal with foreigners, they just can't do this, which just lead to more hassle. I've been sitting for hours in front of hotel check-ins when I try to reach the police commissioner or something of the small city and try to register me. So just go with a 5-star hotel, much more simple, and it's not even expensive in China. In terms of visa requirements, it's obviously very country specific, so I can't give you too many details here. Just make sure to check everything beforehand. You definitely need return tickets and even need like connecting domestic flights. If you, let's say, go to Beijing first and then you leave the country from Guangzhou, they probably want to see a connection between the two cities as well. And in China, the immigration officers are pretty strict. They will check for everything. So definitely make sure to prepare all the flights at least. Probably if you've got some nationalities where it's more difficult to acquire visas in the first place, I guess you need to prepare much more stuff, like also hotel bookings, probably bank account statements and everything. And even if you're from a Western country where it's usually very easy to acquire visas in the first place, you also need to provide all of your flight bookings when you enter the country. So they will definitely want to know, they want to check, definitely just do this beforehand. I mentioned China is a pretty strict country when it comes to visa, and that's true. China's probably the only country I visited where they even check your visa status while you're in the country. So when you do a hotel check-in, sometimes for domestic flights, sometimes for the high-speed train, sometimes even when you visit tourist sites, they will want to see your passport, and they also want to check for a valid visa in your passport. So if you travel with multiple passports, let's say, definitely bring this one along where you have the visa stamp in it, because they want to see it when you're in China in multiple occasions. And lastly, if you use any of the transit visa schemes, which are usually very easy to use, make sure to actually transit. So transit is country A to country B to country C. You can't just go back and forth and expect them to issue a transit visa for you. Obviously, there might be some easy trickery here with first flying to Hong Kong afterwards and then flying back home or something. But really make sure to set this up properly. Nothing worse than being refused entry. And one more Shenzhen specific note here. When I went to Shenzhen the last time, I actually flew out from Hong Kong airport, but I used the ferry terminal in Shenzhen. So you can check in at a ferry terminal in Shenzhen to the Hong Kong airport, and it will be just a ferry shuttle getting you directly into the checked-in area in the airport in Hong Kong. So you might be able to use that as well, which might be more convenient and frankly also more scenic than first taking the train to Hong Kong. So just look it up. Might be a good idea for you to use the ferry terminal within Shenzhen for the Hong Kong International Airport. I hope I helped you out a little bit here in planning your trip to China and to the Shenzhen SEO conference. I'm not part of the team whatsoever, by the way, just helping out my friend here by sharing my experience from the POV of a foreigner traveling to China. Yeah, then just see you at the conference. If you've got any questions, just put them in the comments down below or text me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I might be able to help you out a little bit there to just make your trip more smooth. Okay, see you. Bye-bye.